This is not a question of Afro or Indo-Guyanese or Kuliman or black man or whatever. This is a matter of a class structure being developed where friends, family, and favorites are getting the hub of this oil resource. And you up there will know that Professor Akbar Khan came to this country, and I sat down with him for hours. And among the things we agreed was to demarcate the city so that vendors can operate with honor, dignity, and most of all, in the report he made to the PP government, which they ignored, was to become a tourist attraction instead of treating you like third-class citizens. What we need to do today is to learn from sessions such as this, to educate, share information, so that we have that knowledge to agitate, so that we can be truly liberated. We're not liberated yet, you know. We are still in the cocoon of the colonial system. And these most honorable gentlemen, and they can't lock me up, because I'm referring to His Excellency the President, his vice. I didn't say vice. Vice. When I went to school, vice had a particular meaning. His vice president and his other members of the ruling elite. They have learned. And what we see, in spite of all those nice words, and let me tell you something. This is Ramadan. And Dr. Ali sung nice, you know. Oh, yes. But the majority of you ladies are here. And I don't want my wife here this part. And them boys who come on the song nice, but the intentions aren't nice. So don't be caught up. Don't be fascinated by nice words. Most of all, don't do as happened in the Bible. Sell your birthright.
No way.
You always go to church. I met a certain comrade at a certain funeral on the East Coast today Sunday last week. And that person told me they want to go over to the PPP. Jesus. I said to them, I wouldn't be surprised.
Judas did it.
But I'd be disappointed. I hope the person understood the nuances in the language I used. You see, throughout history and throughout Africa and India, the white massa, and these boys have learned from the white massa, have learned the technology of divide and rule. And you who have worked so hard, some days I go down Reading Street and I see comrades wrapping up them goods, look like beasts of burden to carry it home. I say, by God, what has happened to the report that Professor Khan and I agreed on? But you women are strong people, you know. And the majority of your women here,
Yes.
I can't see good.
Yes.
The majority of women?
Yes.
Well, the strongest people in this world are women. And the men who don't understand stupidity But what you see is organizing something for your benefit. I want you to spread the word that this is the beginning of a long road
Yeah, but Gary.
to victory. So that we can be liberated. Those fellas want to insult us. Can't call names yet.
Yeah, get up.
Never.
But they got no prison can hold me. They want to control everything in this country.
Yes.
And if you read an article I published in the paper, I think last week,
It's when they founded the nation.
I made a comparison between Guyana, Kuwait, and Libya. I didn't name the two ministers in my letter, but Burnham sent Gavin Kennard and Hamilton Green to Libya in 1983 to see how they were spending this oil money. The oil money that Libya was getting then is the same as we are getting today. But we are 800,000 people, less than a million.
Yes.
Libya was 6 million. You're following the extrapolation? In Libya today, you won't have to let children come to find little buns for breakfast for them. Breakfast is free for every school child. Education is completely free. And that's what the master blaster, Lyndon Fox Sampson Burnham, wanted for this country. But those who understand what is happening don't want to call his name. But I said to a top man, all you have to do is put in place his programs and you can't go wrong. Free education, a good health service, sport, and when you build a house, it's supposed to twist up. And if they did that, Burnham had the most respected foreign service in the region. Today we have, what word must use? Certain honorable gentlemen who highest qualification is to curse an Indian woman in New Delhi at his official residence. And we have our leaders here who said they didn't know the story.
Can you imagine that?
They had a calypso here live. That is live. Comrades, I am not down to speak. But when I speak to you again, I'm going to tell you a little story. That's half and half I talk about. That double lady. I don't see good, but she been moving her hand, but she knows to tell me shut your mouth. And if I want to go home and have a good night's rest, I must obey what she said. Keep up the struggle.
Yes, sir.
You have good men working with you here. Lincoln Lewis, Watusi, Saul. Serve them, work with them, so that when this oil bonanza comes out, you will have an opportunity to convert your vending into dignified profit-making exercise, so that tomorrow your children and my children will have the benefits of what God gave us. whether you believe in God or not. I stop by reminding you. Man, tell me why stop for us. Y'all didn't talk to see yet? That we have no natural disasters. No monsoons, no hurricanes, no floods. The only disasters we have, PPP. Somebody get Alibaba. God bless you all. Thank you.
I'd like to ask you, Mr. Green.
Sir.
Yes, okay, sit down, this is all right. You had proposed to build a mall at Merriman years ago as a mayor. What happened to that proposal?
All those things require ministerial permission. I don't want to go into details, but Obraj will know. I've sent him some information. All the recommendations from Professor Akbar Khan, who came to this country to do what is called the Greater Georgetown Development Plan, those things are included. I don't want to spend time. It included a special place to.
Was it just shelved? Did you shelve that proposal?
What?
Was it just put in a corner?
No, the ministerial approval is
It entered the corner, it disappeared because they don't want any PNC mayor of Georgia local. Is as bold as that.
Exactly. You know that?
When I took office, and you all have heard this story 1,000 times, the previous PPIMC said you couldn't manage Georgetown with the taxes that you got. We needed additional sources of revenue.
The Lato you offered it.
When I became mayor, I introduced the Lato. That same gentleman, who I describe as his master's boss, wrote a long letter defending the sale of the Marriott. I want to see how privately going to tell the whole story. Said the PP couldn't agree to a lottery because the churches and the mosques and the temples will be up in arms. Within a few months, the lottery was up and running, and the council got not a cent. The same man they want to sell. When I asked him for the money for the local swimming pool, named after former mayor, I get dumbness. Come, this is not my meeting. I get it. Okay. I want to go home.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think the Mr. Green session was very informative, and we should give him another round. You know, we have to value our senior citizen, and we can be ungrateful to Mr. Green and his contribution to the development of this country and Georgetown. And even as we approach another local government election, and we will take the city again, we have to. Right. We can, we must, and we will. And I want to tell you something too. And we have to relook at the Greater Georgetown Development Plan. What is going on in this city is chaos. It is shambolic. And we have to put pressure on the government.
Yeah.
And if we can get a central government that will agree with our position, it means that we will have to work harder to ensure that not only we maintain the municipal government, but come 2025, we take the central government back. And we ensure that the wealth is equitably distributed, that oil wealth.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I guess most of you know. Recently, in the paper, they were commenting on the state of Guyana's economy, right? We borrow too much. And so I don't see no improvement coming to the ordinary citizen in this country. We cannot eat road and bridges. Development should be balanced. When I came in here, or sometime this afternoon, as I was outside there, I saw someone, a beautiful woman, and I wonder who was this person, you know. And I was asking myself, who is this person? And so I will invite that person to the podium. She's a member of parliament. She's Mrs. Tabitha Sarabuali to the podium. Look at her now.
Good evening. Good evening, all. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. It's kind of hard to go after former Prime Minister Mayor Hamilton Green, but I will try. I am very happy to be here, especially with the launch that took place in Region 5 of the IAAD. I think what Guyana needs, and right now, is what is taking place in this room and took place in Region 5 and in Golden Grove. You see, there's a place for political parties, but then there's a place for civil society and groups and organizations to come together to speak out against what is happening in this country. Because if a political party is saying it, it could be just swept aside as, oh, they have to be in opposition to everything. But when the ordinary Guyanese citizens come together and decide, you know what, we've had enough, that what we're dealing with, we don't want to deal with anymore, and we will rise up and speak up against it, I think that is where things will change. And so I would like to commend you for coming here this evening in your numbers and to sit here and to listen, but not only to listen, but to join arms and hands with what is happening in the IAAD, to show to the Guyanese society and the world that we've had enough of discrimination and that we're ready to come together, rally together to fight against any discrimination that happens in the length and breadth of this country. So give your self a hand. You see, discrimination takes many forms. And as Colonel Green said earlier, there's a lot of women in the room. And yes, we're dealing with vendors this evening. Discrimination takes many forms. But what kind of happens, especially in society like ours, is that we say and we talk a lot about what is happening, but we don't find the time to sit down and write it and put it together so we can have an actual evidence and database as to how discrimination is impacting our lives. And the impact is having not only on us, but our children and our community. Because we say it a lot. You know, we say this happened yesterday, this happened last year. But what we need is to be able to write it down, be able to report it in such a way that when you put a paper down, this is the type of discrimination that we're facing as women, as vendors, as men, as, you know, whatever group you may find yourself in that you believe that you're being discriminated. And so I think this is important. I would like to urge you here and those online to follow what IAAD is doing, to come on board, to join with them, because I think we have to raise our voices collectively, raise our voices individually and collectively, and say that enough is enough, and we will stand for it no longer. I will be short because I wasn't prepared to speak, but I came here this afternoon not knowing what to expect. And to see your faces here gives me hope. It gives me hope that we are not silent in what is happening, that we are not going to sit by and allow everybody to roll over us, but that we're ready to stand up. We're ready and prepared to stand up and fight for our rights. We're ready and prepared to stand up for what is right, and we will do what is necessary to ensure that we have equal share and equitable share in everything that is happening in this country. We will not be left behind. We should not be left behind. And I commend you. I beg of you, do not stop in this room. Continue to push. Continue to go with the union. I know Brother Andrews was talking about the vendors union. If you're not a part of it, join it. I beg of you to join it, because the union is important. There's a place for the union. As much as we want to say that they don't do this for us and not with the union, there's so much strength when we organize. And I think we don't always understand the strength in unity, the strength in organization. Yes, there's a political party. The political party has a role, but the union has its role. The IAAD has its role, and we need to work together to accomplish all that we know that we can accomplish as a unit. Thank you.
Thank you, MP. Thank you. We are moving on. Our next speaker, he was, I think, and he still holds that record as the youngest minister ever served any government of Guyana. I don't see him around here. Oh, sorry, he's among us. And he will be doing a 10 minutes presentation on the United Nations Sustainable Goals, those same goals that I mentioned before, because we believe it's important if we are to achieve those goals, the whole issue of discrimination would be addressed. At this moment, I welcome to the podium Dr. Simpson Perry de Silva.
Thank you very much, Council. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Special evening to our former Prime Minister and colleague way back in the 80s in the government of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum. It was a pleasure working with those folks. But I would like to go straight into the subject at hand this evening because of time. I must say that this evening we have created a worldwide historic moment. I don't think that in any part of the world you have had people of African descent, Indian descent, Portuguese descent, coming together to address the issues of the Sustainable Development Goals and the Agenda 2030. It is historic because I would like to challenge you this evening to make sure that we reach out, because one of the missions of the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals plus the Low Carbon Development Strategy is to reach out to those farthest behind, the ones who are left behind, and deal with them first. So I'd like to challenge us to adopt what we call or put in place starting immediately. And that would be, as long as you agree to that, then it becomes. And I would like to call it the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development of Vendors in Guyana. As long as you agree to that, you automatically must be dealt with equally at the table. In other words, you are not just merely what people think you are and what some of us think we are. We are, and I include myself because I vend in the city also. We are micro entrepreneurs. Effective immediately, make sure you attach yourself to that title. You're micro business people. Some of you are small business owners. So it's micro, small, and probably some are medium. But let's focus on the micro and the small and see yourselves as very, very powerful arm of the economy. And we're talking about the oil and gas economy. We're talking about a circular economy. We're talking about the fastest growing economy in the world. You must be part of that equation. So we must talk. That's part of the conversation. But at the same time, we must take massive action. So that action begins immediately. So it's not necessarily, as some people call it, a talk shop. It's an action shop. So effective immediately, you must join the mission of small business owners, vendors, and the Sustainable Development Goals. Fortunately, I am one of the champions of sustainable development goals not only in Guyana, across the Caribbean, and across the world. So as long as you agree to that, you automatically will have all my network, all the network of the Prime Minister, all the network of the current mayor, of Lincoln Lewis, all of those who have very rich network, and I would venture to say the network of the President of Guyana, the Vice Presidents of Guyana, the parliamentarians of Guyana. They are part of your team. But if you do not recognize it like that, it would never become a reality. So one, we'll talk. Two, we take massive action. And three, we solve problems within our space. I'll give you an example of one of the problems we can solve. I myself at one time was the chief food and nutrition protection officer in Ghana in 1983, working with the Ministry of Health. I'm a doctor in veterinary medicine also, but I did a lot of work in health. And I used to be having workshops, lectures in the market for vendors. So I am volunteering effective immediately to have sessions with you guys, starting immediately whenever you would like to have that. I think that deserves a nice little round of applause for you guys. Because you would be making history. History in that I would link you immediately, or you are linked. I don't have to do it, you are linked to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the Agenda 2030 and the whole greening of the economy. One other thing I would like to challenge you to do, because I have many friends who are connected to different places. I personally feel that you deserve to recognize your rights. You have a lot of rights. The last time I checked with the UN, Universal Human Rights, there are 30 rights that you have as human being. That came into being in 1948 after the Second World War, and it was to protect human beings. And I would like to say to you that the whole business of slavery is an unfinished business. The legacy of slavery is an unfinished business. The legacy of the slave trade is an unfinished business. We have some rich heritage, but are we using our heritage? Are we making use effectively of our legacy, our ancestral lands? Right now, I know in many parts of Guyana, they're trying to take our ancestral lands. And we must make sure that it doesn't happen. We must stand up and be silent no more. We must go into the streets, into the roads, into the villages, in our homes, and do what is absolutely necessary to protect our legacy, to protect our heritage, to make sure that we advance for prosperity. We have the right to prosper, the right to food and nutrition security, the right to quality education, the right to good sanitation and health and well-being, the right to clear water, the right to equality, the right to a whole host of other things that I've mentioned. But be prepared to learn. I am prepared to teach. Many of the speakers before me, I heard them saying precisely that. So I beg of you, let us be part of this glorious revolution. Let us join the energy of our ancestors and make sure we create a future for the benefit and prosperity of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Simpson. We are winding down. We only have two other speakers. At this moment, I would like to invite the Mayor of Georgetown, His Worship, Mayor O'Brien Narayan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A pleasant good evening, everyone.
Yes, sir.
My respect to the senior former Prime Minister and Mayor of the city of Georgetown, Hamilton Green, a man who stood by my side and held my hand and walked with me. Thank you, sir. The IAAD are moving around the country to listen to different issues of discrimination. And this afternoon, listening to the vendors issue is very important. I have received many calls from vendors who echo their voice, what will happen with them. But I want to let you know, vendors has power in the city.
Yes, sir.
And the power that you have, you fail to recognize it. Many times of dealing with issues in the city. You will come to me on issues, and I will try my best to solve it. But I want to let you know, united we stand, divided we fall. I want that to echo with you. The reason why I made such a phrase is that you must love your neighbor who are sitting next to you, because that person as well want to earn a living just like you. We must stop this nonsense. We must stop this nonsense, because your bread and butter is important. I was chastised many times for you, the vendors. I was criticized. I was placed on bail, placed before the court, because I stood up for you, the vendors. And I'm willing to do it again. I'm willing to throw myself again in front of any vehicle or anyone who come to obstruct your daily life. Let me tell you something. Many of them who are in government do not know what is struggle out there. And when I took the office of the mayor, I vowed to protect you, the people, the rich, the middle class, and the poor. And whenever there's a call, I will be there. And I have found that vendors was very important in the city, because there are many people who get laid off of their jobs. There are many people who deprive to sell their loads, who come in from Barbies, Canal, West Coast, deprived to sell their vegetables in a proper state. I stood by them. They know what the struggle is. We have single mother out there. We have single father out there who are struggling for a daily bread, to send them children to school, to pay their light bills, their water bills, the cost of living that's going up every God day. We don't have it easy out there. And I want you to remember that cash grant was given out for COVID, flood relief, fisherman cash grant. And when I made a call on this government to give vendors a cash grant, they refused to do so. I want to let you know that around the town where Zero Bank and Water Street, from the fire station go down, the Minister of Home Affairs called me and said that he will remove all the vendors. And I said to him in this echo, try it. I said to him to try it. Because the vendors out there must earn a living. Whether you're Afro-Guyanese, whether you're Indian Guyanese, whether you're Portuguese, whether you're Amerindian, whatever ethnicity you is, you have the right to vend. Because if the government was producing proper sanitation and give you proper job, you're able to fend for your family. Many of you don't want to be out there, I know of. But what are you going to do? I met a young lady on the seawall who has 8 subjects, grade 1, 2, and 3, and she pushing a cart selling lights. What a shame! What a shame! These are things we need to address, and if we don't address it, you will left the people to go and set up a table and do some vending. Yeah. Let me tell you something. The echo out there is why I am not returning to office. Whether I am in office or not, I vow to you, the people of Georgetown will have my support 100% still. Who will be the next mayor? I, as a former mayor, will have close eyes, and I will not hesitate to pen letters in the paper and to join with the union. Get yourself involved in the union and other trade unionists to fight for vendors' right in the city. I want to say to you that get yourself in committees so that you can have a more heavy voice, that we can able to protect vending. I agree that we need to be neat, clean, and organized. And that is something I've been working on since I took office. But some of you are isn't it? Yeah, I want to start it like this. We are here. I want you to stop having this shabby looking shed and this table and all these pallets. I want you to have a decent, nice table with a nice umbrella to attract your customers. Clean your surrounding, the environment. Keep it tidy. Because bear in mind, the PPP want to remove vendors in the city. They have done it. The honorable minister, I don't think even I should call him honorable. For Minister of Public Works, what they do? I have no fear of calling his name.
Disgrace.
He took it on himself, his ministry, and went
Dog food vendors.
at before public hospital, we can recall incident I've been through, to remove those vendors. Today, those people is all over the place. and said to them that to retrieve the carbon you must pay $60,000 Ghana dollars. What a shame! $60,000 Ghana dollars you must pay to the ministry to retrieve your carbon. While a minister's salary is over $1 million Ghana dollars. You must know these things. A minister's salary is over $1 million Ghana dollars, while you're struggling out there to make a $5,000 to go home and buy food for your children. Many of them don't know the stories. They don't know the pain. Your minister will pause in front of minibus to just get a 40 shot and said he cared for the people. That is not caring for the people. You know what is caring for the people? When you understand how they're living.
Yes.
When you understand they cried. When you understand they have to leave their home 1 o'clock in the morning and drove to the city and park to sell the road. These are policies the Minister of Local Government should table in Parliament before he wanted to go Stockbrook and all the markets to do nonsense. That is the municipality work. That is not the minister work. And if we had received our rightful subvention from government, we would able to do all of that. But they deprive the city. They stagnate the city. They cut the arms and the legs of the city. They take control of the administration of the city. Just because they know that they have a competent mayor and councillors of the city of Georgetown, they want us to look bad in your eyes. So he decided to go and said, look, we're going to take over the markets. I want to remind the Honorable Minister tonight that letters were sent to him in 2019 and 2020 about to save very market condition. And I ask that let us meet and set aside a sum in the budget for those markets. What a lie he peddled in the media and the public domain. My friends, my family, my heart bleeds. I wish if I can continue more, but I want to let you know that I, Brad Narayan, will stand by your side whether in office or not. I will work with you. I will work with you. Because let me tell you, it is not easy out there. One mother cried to me, she could send her son to UG, and that is the only way she can able to make $1 to send her son to UG. And Edgel rooped up the carbon and dismantled it. What a shame. What a shame. And let me tell you something. I heard the vice president make mention that they want to take over the city. Well, if you allow that, you can't eat your dinner. If you all think this thing is wrong, this thing is not about his story, you know. This is real. There's a fairness meeting. I know some of you may be supporter of the government, supporter of the opposition. What this thing is to deal with your life, your future. PPP would not hesitate to bulldoze you out. They would not hesitate. Y'all remember when Ben was Minister of Public Works? He was the hammer and dropped down the market. Y'all remember those things? They will happen again. If. Y'all better don't let them take the city. I want to encourage you to go out on the 12th of June and vote, especially in the city of Georgetown, for APNU. At the top and the bottom. So that the APNU will be in the seat of the city council. And I will stand by your side. Let us not think that this is going to be an easy road. I had to stood up recently at a meeting where they said that vendors in crouching on the Water Street, America Street, come back here, and so on. I said, yeah, I would not move them. Rob Street, they want to place the people from Alexander Street to Border Street, back on the Merriman's Mall. I said those people would not get business. So excuse me, if you put them back there on Merriman's Mall, and if you don't have proper facility, they will not get business. Let us modernize the system. Let us see to work with them. Let us see how we can able to give them our support from both the council and the government. And to date, we never got nothing. Right? We still wait. So I waited when the campaign started, the local government. I will tell you that I will not take it easy when it comes to the bread and butter of the vendors. The vendors, I submitted a proposal in 2019 to the then government. We have no confidence pass, and then the VP took office. And you must know these things because I know the VP will go rebut me and say that he's going to build this and build that. So y'all, I propose to this government to a redevelopment plan for Starbuck Market, to have the vendors placed in a proper environment. It is there on the Google. You can Google it. Redevelopment plan for Starbuck. You will see the whole video. They rejected it. They rejected it. For them, vendors mean nothing. They mean nothing. But I will tell you a little secret. While they want to chastise you, they just called me and said, Mayor, we will put this party here and this body here and that body here, put their own people. So that's why I make mention we have supporters from both sides here tonight. Right? So know what you are doing. I'm not persuading anyone in any direction, but I'm persuading you this evening to vote for APNU at the local government election, so that we can continue the work in the city and continue to protect you, the people. You, the vendors. It's not an easy task. I thank you very much for coming out this evening. And may God bless you all the time. And your mayor willing to throw himself again. Again. I thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to reinforce that come June the 16th, you know all you have to do.
12.
Sorry, the 12th. Because when you turn up the 16th, the ballot already cast, right? Anyhow, I will now invite the champion of IAAD, Mr. Attorney at Law, Roysdale Ford. He is the person that championed the work of IAAD. And he's going to come and do a presentation. And in keeping with the theme of today's meeting, Mr. Roysdale Ford.
Good evening, comrades. Good evening, Chairman Saul. Good evening, Mr. Green, former Prime Minister, and almost the whole of every office in our party, People's National Congress Reform. Good evening, Mrs. Green. And good evening to those listening on social media and on the various platforms. I stand here with you I stand here with you in solidarity and in deep concern about your daily struggles. I stand here as a fellow Guyanese, a son, a brother, and a friend to many of you. And I stand here as a partner in this struggle, in our struggle, identifying with you, for the pain of one must be the pain of all, and the injustices meted out against all of you or one of you must be the injustices meted out against all of us. And I say to you, whatever opportunity presents itself to us, we are in this thing together, and we must make the most of it, because united we stand and divided we fall. Our motto was aimed to promote and build one people, one nation, and one destiny. Where our brothers and sisters in this beautiful country of ours are divided, where communities are divided, where they live in fear, and opportunities are presented to only a few, we must rise. We must rise because it is rightly ours, and what is ours is justice, equality, good governance, and equity in the distribution of resources. It does not matter your class, your race, or a political association. It does not matter which group you belong to. You are no less entitled to equal treatment. And vendors themselves are no less entitled. And we must rise and speak with one accord. The street vendors are of us. They are among us and are part of the entrepreneurial class. They are small businesses, and managing a business, irrespective of size, entails some degree of ingenuity and commitment. Vendors are society's contributors, and they are not a nuisance. Yet they continue to live in fear of the central government, of the People's Progressive Party, continuously overriding local authorities that are responsible for vending. As they keep an eye on their stalls and they serve their customers, their eyes and ears are always alert for the news that their livelihood could be interrupted again once again. I observe that vending is a difficult industry. And to begin with, and now this is more rendered difficult because you constantly live and operate under threat. As of late, vendors ply their trade under great stress and trauma. Even as the central government, the People's Progressive Party, seeks to undermine the democratic order of this society, they have no plans and no programs in place, including access to economic resources for the vendors, for you, to own businesses. The PPP, as the central government, has repeatedly said that vendors must get off the streets, but they failed to provide us with any plans that they have in place for persons to access small loans, to own and operate a business. They just simply want you off the streets. They see you, they see vending, they see vendors as unnecessary. But I say to you that you are necessary and you are a vital part of our society. You are the entry-level persons who operate in commerce and self-sufficiency. We remember only too well the efforts and the opportunities taken by the People's Progressive Party last December to unceremoniously remove you from among the Georgetown area of the Georgetown Public Hospital, where Mayor Ubrat Lorraine places life on the line to defend the city bylaws and the vendors' right to eke out a living. In what was among one of the worst moments in recent history, the Member of Parliament, the Mayor, Sheriff Duncan, here with us this evening, were charged for standing in solidarity with you and standing in solidarity with the vendors. They continue to fail to recognize that the vendors provide a service to visitors, the patients, and staff of the hospital. The fact that they have a regular flow of customers is evident that they recognize that they're meeting a need for service in that area. What the PPP should have done is to work with the Mayor and City Council to find ways and means to accommodate them, such as movable stalls. As a fellow citizen and as an attorney at law representing Mr. Narayan, the Mayor, and MP Duncan, when we interacted with the vendors, they told us that the PPP simply wanted them off the streets, but has not proposed any place where they must go. This is the problem. a demonstration of a complete lack of commitment to a unified Guyana, a complete lack of commitment to put in place a plan, any plan, that will uplift the people and lift them up and provide them with an opportunity to continue to ply their trade and thrive. The vendors issue, and I want you to always remember this, but the vendors issue is an issue about justice. It's an issue about humanity, and it's an issue about equality. And as I speak not only of the vendors in Georgetown, but of all the vendors around Guyana, the time is now to bring to an end to the mistreatment of every citizen, regardless of who they are and where they are. The time is now to create a national policy that recognizes and treats all Guyanese as equally important. This is a society created by the founders that must be governed by universal laws. A society whose people must aspire under the motto of one people, one nation, and one destiny. But nevertheless, especially under this government, there remains pervasive social, economic, and political inequalities. We, the people of this country, must stand up and we must move beyond paying lip service to these values and make these aspirations real. According to a recent World Bank report, approximately half of this society lives in poverty. The data also suggests that many of our children go to school without a meal, and many do not go to school at all because their parents simply cannot afford to put a meal on their tables. In this, which is now being brought to be the world's fastest growing economy, many Guyanese are simply going through challenging economic circumstances, where we are living in two societies, where the gap between the haves and the have-nots is ever widening. Some are beginning to feel that they're doomed to a life of poverty, and there's only a few in Guyana and the resource predators who are reaping the bounty of this dear land. In this beloved land of Guyana, many are made to feel that they are unwanted and they do not belong. It is beginning to feel like the experiences of other countries, where we know the great Calypso, Jack doesn't want us to bathe on our beach. Jack wants to kick us out of reach. But we in Guyana, we must tell this government that that can't happen here, because every square inch of this country belongs to all of us, and we must be allowed to exercise the freedom to traverse it, to develop it, and to reap its bounty. Our resources cannot serve others and not serve us. I want us to say it together. Our resources cannot serve others and not serve us. Thank you. And whilst we will not be opposed to sharing our wealth with investors and developers, it must not be the disadvantage of our dear country. It must not be the disadvantage of our people, the majority of whom are either living in poverty or scraping just above the poverty line. We want development that is sustainable, where every Guyanese can be involved and benefit from it, whether directly or indirectly through jobs, healthcare, education, and other facilities. This is 2023. And in 2023, we're still fighting to have this government, the People's Progressive Party's government, to provide and to maintain free education from nursery to university. You heard Elder Green speak of the importance of education as one of the founding principles of our political party. And now we must have accessible quality health care. These are principles, these are rights which are enshrined in the 1980 Constitution provided to us, thankfully, by Mr. Forbes Burnham and his government, who saw the wisdom of doing it at that time, when we didn't have much access to many of the riches that we now have as a country. As a society, we are failing to recognize that you, the vendors, as lonely as many may seem or feel that you are, we fail to recognize the feasibility in the area of your chosen economic activities, for which is the only means of viability and the only means of providing a source of income for your families. Removing you willy-nilly without a proper program and putting them in areas where they can apply their products will not only lead to suffering and dissatisfaction, but eventually result in their migration from these areas. Vendors know where best to meet their customers and patrons, and the governments are moving them from one place to another. For example, like the Donkey City, even if it's well intended, it clearly demonstrates a misunderstanding of what works best for you, what works best for the vending industry. This highlights the necessity for the interaction with the affected rather than a top-down approach to authority. We need to look at the vending issue through developmental lens and to provide much needed support to advance their entrepreneurial interests and not to hung them off the streets. Vendors are providing for households and building on their own small ingenuity and their own small resources. Their independence and willingness to eke out a decent living should be applauded, encouraged, and not crushed. We need to create the environment for all to thrive. Instead, the People's Progressive Party continues blatant discrimination and acts of discrimination, even against the local government in terms of its laws, anti-democratic moves, undermining the law that allows the local authorities to manage vending and to work with affected constituents on developing a plan that could ensure that you, the entrepreneurial class, thrives and by extension be able to take care of your families. Where other societies value you and your entrepreneurial skills for the service that you provide, and leaders would collaborate and work with you to make your trade and environment a successful experience. In Guyana, because of the insensitive and uncaring PPP government, they continue to bypass the local government to snuff the life out of this business, bringing social and economic pains to you, whilst depriving the users of your services. Vendors live in constant fear that they will not be able to provide for their families, especially when the government is not providing for them or creating opportunities. Not everyone is oriented to employment, and our school system should be geared to support this. Vending is a part of the human culture and customs, and long before even Guyana was founded. Today, we are here to show solidarity with you, to amplify your stories, and to partner with you in developing a course of action for change. This is not about race, religion, and party politics. It's about the people who are subjected to the constant harassment and discrimination and the fear of not knowing when again you will be targeted. This PPP government is acting without care, compassion, or interest in ensuring economic equity. Their brazen behavior and unconscionable disrespect for you and the law seems to continue. The political parties will do their work, but you, the people, you don't have to wait on the political parties. We will be the people of this country, do not have to be dependent on the political parties. We need to form organizations for action and development. And in this regard, I applaud the Institute for Action Against Discrimination for facilitating these conversations, which will bring our people together on issues that transcend race. All races face the same need to provide for their families and to sustain their families. Guyanese have got to learn to come together on the issues, and the masses are always stronger when they stand together. June 12th is local government elections. We must all vote. Our vote is our voice in action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Roysdale. That was the last presentation, but before we take our leave, I will ask Eon to come and just manage this session. It's just for about 5 to 10 minutes, not more than 10 minutes. If you have any issue to raise, we will take them, or any concern. We just want to ensure that you leave here and you're clear about what we are doing.
Dear Warden,
He needs to know there are persons who have problems. All of us have problems. But it's a sad thing when you can have these problems and stay quiet. Let us know so we can collectively deal with them the best way we can. So are there any concerns to persons in this? Yes. Yeah.
Good night, everyone. I would
Well,
like
the camera,
to...
the camera. Yeah. No, you could come here now.
Yes, good night, everyone, to the past mayor and former prime minister, Mr. Hamilton Green, and to the mayor who is with us. I would like to take this opportunity to clear up to all the Indians in Guyana. When I made a statement at the speech a few weeks back, I am Roger Lane, a few weeks back, many persons took it the wrong way. But Mayor Yuvraj Narayan, I know you are very vocal along with a few other members of your ethnicity, but I was not speaking anything defaming to the Indian ethnicity in Guyana. I simply said that they should go into their history. And seeing that the 5th of May is Indian Arrival Day, I hope, not feeling any way bad, that you could go into your history. We, the Africans in the Western Hemisphere, we have a sordid history, and we have accepted our history. We don't care what is being said about us. We are fair, and I was not putting you guys down in any way. But when I did that speech, I was talking about these vendors who are being treated in this way. And we have got to study. If you don't know, that when you have people and you plunge them below a poverty line, where the emphasis now is on human parts, body parts being harvested. And if you are below the poverty line, if you check it out in those places like India and China, they take those people who are below the poverty line and their body parts are being sold off. Yeah. So now with this thing that this installed regime is trying to push on the people of Guyana, looking to put everybody down the poverty line, we have got to fight back. And to all the Indians in Guyana who feel offended, but what I said, I think it was on the 9th of March last month, I am not bringing you down. It's just your history. So please don't bash me anymore. Mayor Narayan, you're here. You met me today for the forecourt. When the matter was on at the court, I was out there with you. I was a person who held your hand, walked with you from the court till to down hall. I am not a vendor. I live at Denham still. But I left my work. I left my household chores just to come and give you the strength. And I don't hate you. I love you guys. I have Indian friends. I had to so close. I had to so close to Maro, up on Maro wedding. When the band started going and dig dirty with the hoe, I was the body who carried the hoe. Because I wanted to know if they digging up all the mud. So I am with you. So please do not bash me.
Yes, comrade. When does it still?
One of the things, Mr. Andrews, I would like to. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things I would like to emphasize is that I am really grateful for this support here as the PRO for the Vendors Union. Please put your hands together for yourself. You know, the reason why I said this is because in many instances, when we have vendors having issues, we don't find we getting this support, especially when it comes to the mayor being arrested. I was very much shocked and surprised at the turnout of many vendors whom he is representing. And we have to be real. We have to be real as people. Tomorrow schools reopen, and we know for a fact that it's not easy. I have 3 children going to school, and it costs me $7,000 every single day. And you vendors here can testify to the fact. It's not easy on none of us. But we need to support when the call is being made. We need to do it. Let me say this as well. Labor Day. You see the turnout here? I am so happy. I encourage you to wear your orange and black. Let the world see vendors, that vendors have a voice. Chase Green didn't accept us. The bully by Stone King did not accept us. But this young man, Mr. Yuval Sharine, he accepted us. So we need to stand together. I told them boldly. I sat beside Mr. Hamilton Green. The only man who cares for us is Mr. Yuval Sharine. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together one more time. Please, people.
One thing. You mentioned union, but you have not mentioned any procedure.
You have not.
You mentioned the procedure.
You talk to the PRO as you know.
There was anybody else want-
But then again, I like how y'all just singularly, y'all know union there, you know. No, we have no union. No, let me tell you why we say that. When things happen by the hospital, persons by the market, people in Wall Street said they ain't got no time card, they are right. They're not coming to them. Go by the hospital, the same thing happened. And other people went and support. You go, now there's a form that you can collect. Well, my vice president, who I need to mention a Carol to the person who was instrumental, along with me in forming this union, and Debbie Barrow and others, you know, they would have got about and they went out the markets, the penitence out. You would be surprised to know the size of this union on paper. But they want to remember when something happens to them. A lot of them, hundreds of members.
Somebody gave a question.
Yeah. Come, Douglas. Come. Did I answer? Just
Good evening, everyone. Respect and gratitude to the organizers and all our speakers, and mostly our elder, Comrade Hamilton Green, who's always represented us. I think he was the first mayor to set the pattern of how a mayor should deal with the vending issue and the vendors. I only have 2 things to say, I think 3, but I remember 2 now. And I'll be very quick about it. It is heartrending to see that the new trend now to replace vendors is to upgrade your store and then have the vendors not return. I didn't think I would see Chinese national come to Guyana, build a very large store, and then no vending in front of it, none whatsoever. And no one seemed to notice it, but it is happening. I saw with my eyes when the Chinese came out and chased away the vendors on the first when they opened. It's not something I'm making up. So the new trend is to replace these vendors. You do up the stores. And in most cases, these business people from the private sector, that got all this money, still occupy in front of the storeroom that they build, but vendors cannot return.
Yes. And then the middle pave too.
The other part,
The
other part is this. This oil economy, this one Guyana, what a farce. Imagine in the heart of Georgetown, the capital of this country, right in the center. You know we discover oil there? The sewage is bubbling over black just like the oil. And it stinks. It's unhealthy. Now, I am not so intelligent to know who really should be responsible. But right now, it is so out of hand that the vendors took upon themselves to take pallets and build a fence around it so we have a second set it off. Right in Guyana, Georgetown, right at Regent and Hill Street. If you don't know, you can invite anybody from any part in the world to come and see it. We have oil coming up there in our city, right in the middle here. The only problem with this one is that this one can kill us all. If we should have learned one thing from the COVID virus, it started, wherever it started, the Americans said, is Wuhan. Wuhan, the Chinese people say, is in America. Wherever it started, it affected the world without discrimination. It even affected kings and queens and presidents and prime ministers, everybody, generals. So suppose a virus starts there. Who will be first in line? And eventually, it will be the entire world. There are so many things, but I thank you. I know you're tired and we need to get home.
Thank you very much. I want to respond to this gentleman's comments on the sewage. Sewage issue is dealt by GWI. Yeah, GWI was made. We made contact with GWI, but the CEO they have there, Mr. Sheikh Baksh, has no interest to have a modern sewage system in the city. Right? He has no interest to have a modern system. So the city did make that report, and we still await. I believe it's over 2 months now. Still await on GWI and CEO and his team to look after that sewage issue right at Bank of Baroda there. Right? It is terrible. So I call on the CEO on GWI, Sheikh Baksh, please do your work. You need a modern sewage system in the city. The government, we have the money. Let us give the people in the city what belongs to them.
Thank you, Karen. Mayor, the youngster in front here, the teenager in front here, you say you want to know how you can join the union. Which area you operate from? Stabrook. Oh, you wouldn't know, man.
I come in the evening.
Oh, you come in the evening, but you go a store, you ask to Carol Carter store, I will ensure that we have another executive there, Dr. Shield. Look at you, or, you know, Mr. Hicks, as long as you need it, we know how to get to you. We are represented in different places.
Okay, people, thank you for coming. It was a pleasure having you here this evening. See you. You know, if we are truly patriotic, we have one more task. Let's just stand and sing the last stanza of the national anthem. We are patriots. Come on, please stand. Ian, lead us in the last stanza of the national anthem. I know you're a very good singer. Dear land of Guyana.
So the last stanza you will be there.
Let's start over the last stanza. Dear land of Guyana, to you give our own gracious service each day that we live. God guide you, great mother, and make us to be worthy our heritage, land of the free. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to have you here. Tell somebody you love them before you leave, man.